Good afternoon, everyone. Jedi 72 coming right at you with a top 10 video. And the top 10 that I'm going to be selecting today are my top 10 moments from, you guessed it, Star Wars. Star Wars, in my opinion, is the greatest movie franchise ever created, compiled of thousands and thousands of great moments. It's just very, very difficult to pick what could possibly be the top 10 moments in the entire saga. But I've come up with, in my opinion, the best moments in Star Wars history. Of course, excluding the not yet film to be released, Episode 9. So this is compiled of Episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and the Solo Star Wars movie and the Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. So with that being said, let's dive right into my top 10 moments in Star Wars history. Heading off with number 10, you have from Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, Anakin Skywalker wins the pod race. This was probably the first epic moment in Star Wars history, if you're going by timeline. Anakin, the first human in pod racing history to actually race in a pod race, defeating his arch rival Sebulba. Always cheater. He's always a cheater, Sebulba is. But Anakin, with the help of the Force, obviously, Qui-Gon guiding him through the Force, Anakin was finally able to topple Sebulba and be the first human to not only compete in pod racing, but win an actual pod race. At the number 9 slot, from Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. My opinion in this, this moment is probably one of the best moments, obviously. The Battle of Geonosis. What makes this moment so epic is you got to see just this army of Jedi facing off against an army of droids. You got the Jedi with their lightsabers, deflecting laser blasts all around them, and just slicing droids into bits of metal rubble, and I mean, it was. And then, not only in the arena did you have the Jedi fighting the droids, then you go outside of the arena and you got an even bigger battle going on with the clones and the droids just blasting each other to bits. And I mean, just an epic, scene in Star Wars history. At number 8, from Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, going by timeline, you have the first epic lightsaber battle. You had Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Padawan, with his Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn facing off against the Sith apprentice Darth Maul in the Duel of the Fates. This was the first first lightsaber duel that you had in the history of Star Wars that was actually put on film. Um, it was just so well choreographed. It was so well done. It was um, just an epic moment in Star Wars history. And number 7 from Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. You have Master versus Apprentice, Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Anakin Skywalker, and probably what was at the time the greatest lightsaber duel of all time. I mean, it doesn't get much better than you got teacher versus student. It's one of those things that you've always dreamed of seeing. Well, Star Wars gave it to you. Teacher versus student. Who was better? Obviously, you got Obi-Wan Kenobi, the more experienced, and then you got Anakin Skywalker, who was the more powerful, and just a clash of titans is what Obi-Wan versus Anakin was. And then at number 6, you got from Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. No top 10 list can be without this. You've got the Jakku Falcon chase. No top 10 list of Star Wars can be complete without at least one slot going to the Millennium Falcon, the most iconic ship in Star Wars. And its chase scenes is just so awesome, and you just don't get much better than you got a bunch of TIE fighters just chasing this lone ship, and the TIE fighters just like, what do we do? What do we do? We can't catch the Falcon. It's too fast. It's the fastest ship in the galaxy. And I think what makes these scenes so iconic with the Falcon chases is the music. The music is just so awesome that makes these scenes so iconic. And number 5 from Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. Kylo Ren and Rey teaming up against the Royal Guards of Supreme Leader Snoke. This, in my view, was probably the best scene in The Last Jedi. Despite the fact that, The Last Jedi did receive a lot of backlash and everything. But in my opinion, The Last Jedi was a great movie. And this scene with Kylo Ren and Rey teaming up was just a thing to prove that it's just not always has to be good versus evil. It's just, two people teaming up to fight a common enemy. And that's what this scene was all about. They both found their common enemy, and they fought it, and they won. And number 4, from Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. Darth Vader destroys the rebels. This scene will live in Star Wars history forever, because it's the first time, according to timeline, that you actually got to see Darth Vader in his armor wield his lightsaber. And you had this army of rebels just charging towards him and just firing their blasters. And here's Darth Vader just deflecting all these laser fire and just using his force choke and his force push and just shoving rebel after rebel after rebel, just trying to get his hands on the Death Star plans. And the music to go along with this scene was just made it so epic. It was, in my opinion, the best part of Rogue One. As great as Rogue One was, this scene just made the movie so worth seeing. And it just, I don't know, it just makes you cringe when you see this dark hallway, and then all of a sudden you just hear, and then the amber glow of Darth Vader's lightsaber just ignite, and then you see the fear in the eyes of the rebel soldiers as they're just saying, "Oh boy, what do we do? We're screwed. Let's get out of here. Bye-bye." At number 3, this is where things really get epic. At number 3, from Star Wars Episode 6, The Return of the Jedi, Luke Skywalker versus Darth Vader. And probably the most epic lightsaber duel of all time. Of all time. Father versus son. And with the Emperor just begging Luke to strike his father down, to take his place at the side of the Emperor, and Luke just fighting his feelings of trying to convert his father back to the good side, and Darth Vader just fighting it off, and you just got the flash of green and amber just clashing together. And I mean, just the most epic lightsaber duel that you will ever see in a Star Wars movie. At number 2, from Solo, a Star Wars movie, this was probably the moment that a lot of Star Wars fans had always wanted to see. Han Solo meets Chewbacca. I know for me, when I was sitting in the theater watching Solo, and when Solo was down in that dungeon and he just hears the he's like, and then Chewbacca just appears from out of nowhere, and this one-on-one battle between Han Solo and Chewbacca just ensues, and everything. And it was just so great. It was just like, oh, it's Chewie! It's Chewie! And I mean, it was just so great to finally witness the meeting of the smuggler, the scoundrel, and the cute, adorable Wookiee Chewbacca. I just thought it was just so awesome that they were able to incorporate the meeting of Han Solo and Chewbacca onto film. And now, the number 1 slot from Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. In my opinion, the most iconic scene in Star Wars history. No, I am your father. The moment when it was revealed, the most iconic reveal in cinematic history, was when it was finally revealed that Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father. That moment will live in cinematic history forever. Forever. just the most iconic scene, not just in Star Wars history, but in cinematic history. Before the prequels, and all you had was episodes 4, 5, and 6, who would have predicted when you saw A New Hope? Who would have been able to predict that Darth Vader was the father of who would eventually become the greatest Jedi of all time? Who would have been able to predict that Darth Vader was the father of Luke Skywalker? It never crossed my mind. That is why this scene is so epic in cinematic history, because it's the greatest reveal of all time. And in my view, in my opinion, the greatest moment in Star Wars history. That is my video for today. Leave your comments. If you like my top 10, like the page, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time when I do my next Star Wars Top 10. Y'all have a great day.
You're loud.